Well, after this interesting session, we quickly move on to another panel discussion, which is on business correspondence. Will it migrate to LSP model? Our co-panelist for this session is Ms. Sunita Manwani, Business Head, Lending PayNearby. Mr. Gyanandrra Mishra, Founder, MD, and CEO, SakshamGram Credit Private Limited. Let's welcome everyone on stage, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Ashutosh Kumar, President and National Head of Inclusive and Social Banking. Mr. Ajay Desai, Fintech Consultant. Mr. Mahesh Kumar Jain, CMD, Integra Group. And this session will be moderated by Mr. Sunil Kulkarni, CEO, Business Correspondent Federation of India. So, well, let's welcome all our co-panelists, all our...
So, good evening, everyone. I think there cannot be a better start to this session with the end from the previous session, which was talking about microfinance. So, you know, when you talk about digital, digital is 0 and 1 in electronics, if you have seen that. So what Shashi talked about digital is that if you have the mobile savvy customer, that is 1. He is digital savvy customer, that's again 1. So it's 0, 0, 0, 1, and 1, 1. These are the 3 segments he has defined in digital. And the model for 0, 0, which means he is neither digital savvy nor finance savvy, is high touch. And the model for 1, 1, which is digital savvy and finance savvy, is LSP. So you are having all 3 kinds of models, and that's the topic that for business correspondent, will they move to LSP model? So some of this we will talk, but before that, I would request, we have a very rich knowledge bank with these experts. So I would request each of the panelists to spend 60 seconds on their company, what they do, and in relation to the BC lending and LSP business, what is it that they are currently doing? Starting with Ajay.
Good evening, everyone. I am Ajay Desai. I have been working in this banking plus fintech sector for the last 25 years, largely with Yes Bank and ICICI Bank, and also a bit with Samunati, Spice Money. And right now, I am independent consultant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. This is Mahesh Jain. We've been in this business of business correspondent for almost 15 years, one of the early startups. We have about 20,000 and odd people working for 20 odd banks as the branch link BCs across the country. And as a technology service provider, we also provide the technology for FI gateway and the entire solution there, plus doorstep banking. Then we also started a journey in the digital lending and ONDC financial services. So that's about us.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Ashutosh Kumar. So I am basically part of inclusive and social banking of Yes Bank. Basically, Yes Bank in inclusive and social banking, we largely do retail microfinance through our BC channels. BC channel in the sense, there are 3 models in which we operate. One is like traditional BC model, where we set up brick and mortar branches, BC setups, and this is how it is run. Second is through our liability-led, that is BC banking outlets, we call it. And the third, basically, the business correspondent agents basically set up their customer service points. So these are the 3 models in which we are associated with BC.
Thank you.
This is Gyanandrra Mishra. I work for SakshamGram. So I have worked for almost 3 decades in BFSI sector. I started my career with UTI, then I worked for IDBI, then I worked for Utkarsh for some time. I was heading rural and agri business for RBL Bank. And then after working for 2.5 decades, I thought of that already I am the salaried professionals. Why not to become salaried entrepreneur? And that's the reason, we have started SakshamGram. It is a phygital business correspondent. As of now, we are doing only asset-based. That is 3 products. That is JLG model, microfinance, upgraded customer of JLG, that is 1 lakh to 5 lakhs, individual enterprise loan, what Sasi was talking in the last A. And then we have got secured business loan, that is micro lab. That also we do. We have pure cashless, paperless disbursement. That is called digital disbursement. But intervention physical is there when it comes to continuous group training or your village survey, group formation, GRT. That is mix of digital and physical both. We also have technology where we have got geotagging. We know real time where are our people, at what time the meeting started, at what time it ended, and all those things are captured. We have digital mode technology where we say that in the 500 meters radius only the center should be made. It should be, the CGT should happen in the same place. We don't give to the rented, customers. We have acquired 5 lakhs customers, rejected 2.5 lakhs customers. We have got 1.5 lakhs customers as of now, almost 500 odd crores, all 3 products together. If you see JLG, it is more than 80%. That is more than 400 crores, kind of a thing. And again,
Thank you, Gyanandrra.
Come to your questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I think I'm Sunita Manwani. I represent PayNearby. At PayNearby, we like to call ourselves a distribution as a service company. We started with distribution of banking products, and now over the last couple of years included lending, insurance, and e-commerce. We've onboarded about 1 million merchants across the country. Largely, this would be small, micro, nano entrepreneurs, as we call, and of which about 5 lakh retailers are active with us, transacting month on month. And this translates into a gross transaction value of about 1 lakh crore per year. That's the kind of GTV we process every year. Of late, we've also started working with a lot of government initiatives on the statehood, the livelihood missions which we do with states like Rajasthan, UP. We also work with farmer produce organizations because we feel that while you are a traditional, banking correspondent, it's very important to ensure that you keep adding services to your offering of bouquet so that the value per transactions, the agents working with us are constantly on the higher upward move rather than lower. That's all.
Thank you, thank you. And I am Sunil Kulkarni. I'm CEO of BCFI. BCFI is Business Correspondent Federation of India. It has about 65 corporate BCs and 5 payment banks who are servicing 3 million or 30 lakh BC agents in the country. So this is a very large federation which has the last mile access. So it can afford to be phygital, and also it needs to be digital as well. So coming to the fundamental BC business, 2005 is when RBI released the guideline for BCs, and it was very high-touch model. It continues to be very high-touch. But over the last 18 years, because of technology, especially enabling core banking access, enabling India Stack with devices, we are starting with micro ATM and biometric and now Face ID, there is a significant progress that has been made for making branchless banking a reality. So to give you some numbers, we have today about 25,000 crore to 30,000 crore worth of interoperable transactions for Aadhaar-enabled payment system every month. And almost equal number of that particular transactions, so another 25,000 crore, is on us, which means the bank is same as the BC point. But interoperable is almost equal to the on us transaction. And about 15,000 crore of domestic money transfer takes place every month using IMPS and NEFT. So if you look at the current ATM throughput, all the ATMs put together, about 2.5 lakh ATM in the country, their throughput is 2 lakh crore. And we are talking about 60,000 crore of AEPS cash out, which means we are out at 30% of the total ATM throughput. So that's a massive inclusion that has happened because of business correspondent, mainly because of the push of Aadhaar stack, demonetization and COVID helped, but I would say that technology has actually helped this to go forward. Now, while physical was important, recently RBI also released the digital lending guideline. And these digital lending guidelines are catering to digital savvy and finance savvy customers who can do self-assist instead of agent assist. And there they are pretty much asking the LSP or loan service provider to be the agent of the financial service provider or a bank, and asking them to do customer acquisition, servicing, underwriting support, not underwriting, and the all associated ones. So this is actually low touch or no touch, whereas the BC business has been significantly high touch historically, where the technology has actually evolved. So the question that last panelists were discussing was, can we be more digital? The answer, I think, is probably I will leave it to my expert panelists to debate and discuss. So I would go with the first question to Sunita, that, you know, with the traditional BC model being physical or phygital and very high touch, do you see movement of towards low touch LSP model, or do you think you have an advantage being physical and high touch, and thereby you are actually reducing, especially for the lending, the underwriting risk as compared to a pure digital LSP model?
Sure. So I think my view is that most businesses, figure out the right mix of digital and physical activities for any business to be successful. So I think LSP or BC is no different. While we know that BCs definitely have a high touch point, but if I tell you what, at PayNearby, in whatever sourcing of loan applications we do, by and large, it is completely digital. But there are certain elements of informal intelligence which is available with our sales teams on the ground or distributor network which we have.
So distribution as an advantage you want to leverage?
Yes. So we use that intelligence into our due diligence process and only then send those applications for processing with the partner. So I definitely see that, we will never be able to cut out the physical touch point for sure. And I think whether we should move from a kind of BC to an LSP, if, I could answer that. I think being a BC, normal cash in, cash out transactions, my view is that over a period of time with the advent of, influx of a lot of rural people coming into, migrating into cities with the available of cheap smartphones, I think cash in, cash out business will kind of die out very soon. Hence, it is inevitable for, us as the corporate business correspondents to move to a business model which, not only diversifies, but is also becomes sustainable because you have higher margins in lending, insurance, and e-commerce.
Thank you. Mahesh?
I think it's but natural because of the two reasons. The BCs have been doing something, especially in the branch-linked area. They carry out the account opening, FD, RD, selling the the PM schemes for insurance, and the APY, that is the pension schemes. So they are as such being moved there. So if I go back to perhaps when the Jan Dhan program was initiated in 2014, it says that first step was account opening, next step was OD, next was the credit. And in fact, the Niti Aayog to everybody has been saying that how do we move the credit to the rural population, those who have the Jan Dhan account. So given that as a drive from the right 2014 onward to take the credit to the people, I'm sure the LSP is consisting of, let's say, 4 points. Customer acquisition is 1 point, underwriting is another point, Repayment and settlement is another point, and customer relationship is another point. I think all these 4 points, the BC scores, because most people don't have the credit score or anything. So BC has a knowledge about what transaction the person is doing, and also what kind of loans are required. See, he is local to that particular thing. So my vision is that village-wise, the loan definition could change. And that can only happen if you have the digital models. In the physical model, it's not possible. So I think the physical is going to live in because we don't have the credit scores for the people. And not everybody has a smartphone. Still, the 400 million people don't have a smartphone. So therefore, they would require to go to some point, which is a BC point, where their services could be rendered.
Thank you, Mahesh. Ajay, to ask you the same question with a little twist, that, will customer grievance redressal in a pure digital world work as effectively as in a physical world where the customer can go to a BC outlet, lodge a complaint, and get it done? So while we talk about everything physical, today, can you talk to Google Pay or can you talk to Phone Pay and put a customer grievance, especially in light of the question that I have posed to Sunita and Mahesh?
Yeah, honest answer is that depends a lot on the intentions of the principal, that is the bank, on supporting these customers. For example, I will tell you the one innovation that we did in Yes Bank long back when we were starting the BC model. Obviously, my customers, the SHG, GLG customers will not be comfortable calling up the main call center of Yes Bank and talking to some phone banking officer. And they will, in the turn, the officers will also be not well equipped to handle their queries. So what we did, we created a missed call number through GovShop, where the lady can, giving a missed call is the easiest thing that can do. She can do missed call. She will immediately get the answer saying that we have noted your concern and somebody will reach you within 24 hours. And that database will be then given to a specialized BPO, Vindhya BPO, managed by disabled people. And luckily, because they are Bangalore based, but they have got team from all over world, all over India, they can, and we used to get that as insights. This number caller is from Odisha or West Bengal. So somebody will call them back in their local language.
So you are saying that customer grievance is possible to be handled
if there is
remotely.
A will, there is a way.
Yeah. And about the debate that we are having on BC versus LSP, what is your view?
To be very honest, I would say that this is an ecosystem, financial ecosystem, which is still evolving, including BC model. So there is a lot of space for BC and LSP to coexist. Even there is a possibility that one entity may play both the roles, but not necessarily there will be replacement. That is my personal view. We are far away from replacement situation.
Thank you, thank you. Let me come to the banker, Ashutosh. What is your view about the two models? Which one will you prefer, BC or LSP or both?
As a banker, see, high touch and low risk is the order of the day, kind of. So this goes without saying. But again, as I said, see, bank has been doing this BC model. Again, who else then, other than Ajay, will vouch for it. He started the BC model in Yes Bank, which we are carrying out. So here, largely it is a settled model. Okay, so where both supply side, they are basically satisfied with the services. Demand side is comfortable because it's, again, someone is there in the field who basically, other than all those CGT, GRTs, goes back to the households, check their status and all. So that's the kind of underwriting basically happens. Other than that, there is absolutely no underwriting which gets happened. And it's all BRE based basically. So we have seen that evolution. So from totally physical to now with phygital, we whatever we do for eKYC or e-sign or for processing and all. So this has definitely brought in efficiency and all. But still, as a banker, banks prefer to be on a high touch, low risk model. I'm not saying that LSP model, bank has actually finalized a fintech partner to pilot this LSP model also, because that's again, that's the future. That's the evolution what Ajay was talking about. So this is the future. So this evolutions and all, you cannot keep your aloof of those evolutions and all. So, but then as of now, as I said, demand, the people who basically take loans and all, they are accustomed to it. So they, in entire microfinance industry, runs like this. Everyone has evolved again. But here in LSP model and all, I doubt that we have a proof of concept where everything has gone well, and maybe we may be termed that as a kind of in LSP model, like it's a more of a, if we push it now, it's a supply side convenience in the sense we want to scale up highly, and that's how we are pushing it forward. So we'll not push, but definitely we will experiment this LSP model also, because that's again the order of the day as we progress.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Coming to Gyanandrra, you heard the previous session that, BCs are may potentially face threat from Google Pays and the Phone Pays of the world, which is a pure digital model. So what is your view? Would you move from BC to LSP, or you will have both?
शशि साहब का जो पिछला प्रोग्राम था अभी इससे पहले पैनल डिस्कशन, उन्होंने डरा दिया था.
But don't shoot the messenger.
So I'll tell you one thing. इसको दो तीन एंगल से देखते हैं. That will be better. One is Bharat versus India. We have got roughly around in Bharat, we have 6,64,000 odd villages. इसका मतलब ऑलमोस्ट 85 to 90 करोड़ जनता आज भी हमारे भारत में बसती है, एंड कुछ अर्बन है. जो आशुतोष जी, अजय जी या महेश सर बोल रहे हैं या मैडम बोल रही हैं, इवोल्यूशंस हो रहा है. कल किसने देखा है नहीं मालूम है. बट इफ वी टॉक ऑफ टुडे, आई विल वाउच फॉर फिजिटल हाई टच BC model is going to continue. The reason being is that we acquired roughly around 4.5 lakh customers. We disbursed to 1.5 lakh customers. Out of 1.5 lakh customers, 1 lakh customers, the women customers, we give it to the women, for livelihood. They don't have mobile phone. Either their son or the husband, they are carrying the mobile phone. Till the time India has got everybody having a smartphone, we can't talk of LSP. That is my view, right? One part. Second is, return of investment is not important. Sorry, return on investment is not important. The important is return of investment. So whatever lending we have done to those customers, that should come back. How will it come back? Unless my customers are not fully digitally literate and having a smartphone, the LSP model, disbursement will happen, but how will the collection happen? Today, so many banks are there in rural India, but we have to tie up with a Spice Money or Fino or PayNearby for collections of my cash and not dispose of my cash. So that's why I'm in the view that BC model, high touch, phygital, technology with personal touch is going to continue for some time. And that is exactly the same my banker also told. So he's also vouching the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gyanandrra. So, you are saying that you can adopt technology, but there is a significant amount of high touch that will remain. So talking about technology, I will talk about two items. One is called account aggregator, which is the classic case for enabling paperless credit almost instantaneously, and OCAN, which is now coming via ONDC, what I believe. So my question is, let's say coming back to Sunita, that how would you implement an account aggregator network or a framework, not network, framework, in a BC environment, and or for that matter, OCAN.
So talking about BCs, I think the challenge I see having account aggregator framework is the best thing to happen because it ticks all the right boxes in terms of your security of data, consistency of data, standardization of templates, right way of analyzing, and the throughput. And of course, it is faster and secure without saying. But I think the challenge we have today, I mean, that's an ideal scenario. But today, if we talk about, because we are a BC, I am neither a FIU nor a regulated entity. So how do I actually put in place or get access to the account aggregator? The only way, I think, which some of us would have done would be taking shelter behind your partners, kind of credential. But with RBI kind of, the way they are coming, with newer and newer regulations and restrictions, rightfully so, I think this is one area which I feel if, either you give us as an access of maybe a regulated entity as a partner, it kind of would make our life much simpler. Or we come up with models which are like, TSPs, like we have, for example, Perfios. We are able to just integrate with one partner that helps you do right from KYC to diligence, bank statement analysis, NAT registration, everything. So if we are not able to get access of the network, give us options which are at a reasonable and competitive cost, which help us complete the entire kind of sourcing to preliminary kind of underwriting, which as a BCV may take on as an obligation.
So you are saying that not being a regulated entity for a BC, because I'm going to ask at the end, what is your ask? So you reserve this question for the last. So you are saying that regulated entity is a constraint, you are not. So let me ask the regulated entity, Ashutosh, what is your view? How would you implement an account aggregator and open network in a BC model?
See, personally, I am not very sure, like this account aggregator. See, we don't have a proof of concept as of now for us to replicate actually. There are success stories or proof of concept which we replicate. See, we'll have to do the cost and benefit analysis to what exactly the account aggregator and OSIN network will bring in addition to the current ecosystem which we have where we basically process the cases. See, three things which we basically look at.
Let me just interrupt you, sorry.
Yeah.
Basically, today is the digital journey for a BC is that physical. You are doing everything physical and there is conversion to some digital, but largely it is physical, and it takes anywhere between 3 weeks to 3 months to underwrite a particular loan if you want to do that on a physical manner. What account aggregator is trying to do is make it entirely digital and do a instantaneous unsecured loan by a third party who is not necessarily the sponsor bank of the BC and offer it to the customer on the fly. So this is very revolutionary, obviously, but yes, it can, the jury is still out how fast it can grow and all that. But yeah, the question to you was, if you are given the choice to make a decision that, I will implement from tomorrow account aggregator on a BC, what would you do?
So that's why I just wanted to conclude that by saying, see, in this process, we basically will have to see, again, most of my BCs are phygital, and probably they have gone beyond that also. So very close to, you can say, LSP model kind of, maybe, but then the touches are still there. So this one. So three things which we are looking at. One is the origination. In origination, what is that we are looking at? We are looking at bureau, EKYC, okay? Beyond that is the compliance, the regulations, regulatory compliances and all. So in addition to these two basically processes and all, where in a microfinance segment, that is what you look for, right? EKYC, then bureau, basically where go or no-go cases we have to see. Regulatory, because we'll have to adhere to those FOIR norms and all. So these are the 3-4. So I don't, see, that's why I said we'll have to do cost-benefit analysis. If I have to funnel it through all my say aggregator model and all. So what is that they will bring into the platter? Okay, how efficient it will be? If I have to make technological changes to accommodate all those responses and see that, in my underwriting or BRE, it is making some improvement to that extent, will be gladly accept all those. Anyway, bank is there in the Sahmati and all. Okay, so will allow our partners in to basically take a consent based through Sahmati, route it through, process all those files from the aggregator. And if it is, again, as I said, if it makes sense for us, benefit for us, we will make technological investments also. And it's again, will be a win-win situation for customer as well as for the bank.
Thank you, thank you. Like a classic banker, quite a diplomatic answer. But let me ask the banker turned consultant now. You can be more frank and be forthright. What is your view if we have to instrument?
One issue which I have been advocating both when I was on that side and now also on this side is banks need to treat their BC partners with more respect. Right now the relationship is not of equals. Banks are not treating, though banks say कि BC is my extended arm, but bank treat them like hand gloves and not hands. मन नहीं आया निकाल के फेंक दिया. At least कितने ने फेंक पाए hand gloves बदल पाए is a different question. But the treatment, the approach toward BC is that not of a hand but of a hand gloves.
उल्टा भी हुआ है sir.
उल्टा भी हुआ है, yes. हाँ, but उल्टे होने की भी रीजन हमें देखने पड़ेंगे क्यों उल्टा हो रहा है, right? So जब ये partnership ज़्यादा में it's a question of perceptions and mental conviction कि मेरा BC partner है तो partner है.
So let's say you assume that you have got a set of BC. Sunita is here. You have assumed she is a partner.
Yes.
You have got the right feelings. Now, if you have to implement BC account aggregator open network with a BC, how will you do it?
Sir, देखिए.
I'm not putting you to spot.
Yeah, I know. First thing, again, I'm saying my personally, as a lender, from a lender's perspective, account aggregator framework itself is over-exaggerated. Honestly speaking, account aggregator framework is not going to add much credence to a lending process. Because जो preferred customer है बैंकों के lending के लिए, तो वो वैसे वो सिबिल स्कोर कैरी कर रहे हैं. And जिनके पास सिबिल स्कोर नहीं है, because they are not customers of NEA, उनको तो हम BC के थ्रू ही करने में फायदा में we are better off. Even मैं lender हूँगा तो मैं BC के थ्रू अप्रोच करूँगा, तो then BC has got a much better direct interaction. So I will treat having a physical BC personally I feel is better than relying on some account aggregator framework. That is my personal opinion.
Okay. Thank you. I think yes, that's what I wanted this answer that there is either digital answer, 0 or 1.
Yes.
So yeah.
Sunil, if I may add just one point to what he said, because most of the people we are catering to are in semi-urban and rural areas. I think that digital literacy also is a big problem, right? They will never be able to, even the agents who help them, source or put in the application may not be able to do that.
Yeah, maybe I think, yes, it is possible that account aggregator framework with this data can aid an existing physical method. It is not either or,
yes.
It may be both. Maybe in the process, if you need instead of 50 people feet on street, you are able to do that with 25 or 20, the job is done. So the intent was to extract from you guys that, yes, there is a value, but yes, currently you would see because of the CIBIL absence, you would still want to go substantial physical because risk is very high.
Yes.
We have 5 minutes, I think. So what
3 minutes.
So I will now quickly ask one of the last question that, now we have new emerging services which are promising to be more digital. For example, mutual funds, even the ONDC. All of these are services which are having low touch and not high risk. Deposits, fixed deposit, etc. Anyway, is no low risk. Would you, a question to Mahesh, what is your view of putting these under pure digital? Now, I'm going away from LSP because it's not strictly LSP model, but I'm more emphasizing on digital that these are the services. What would be your view of BC moving from the current traditional business to these emerging services like mutual fund, e-com, digital commerce through ONDC, etc.?
Yeah, you're right, because we can see two things. The ONDC itself offering the financial services, which means that lending, investments, that mutual funds and insurance, and even the gift cards. So given this movement and given the fact that the AA is evolving, account aggregate, current form, perhaps it is good, but not so good. But if we were to think of the suggestion like every bank's statement has to be kept in some encrypted format which can be collected, perhaps the BC could help that. So my guess is that movement has to happen, and the government has done one example of PM Swanidhi, wherein about 50 lakh street vendors were given the loans. Though it was phygital, that means initially the person has to go and get some authentication from urban local bodies. Subsequently, it was a journey which was again digital, and towards the last mile was to 80% it was physical, that means they had to go to the branch. But last 20% we made it as 100% digital. That means except the acquisition, the entire journey for 50 lakh loan could be made. So this was a move by which government now has a credit history of these guys. They have moved, quite a few moved to 20,000, 40,000 scheme. I believe that government has to take one more initiative like this, PM Swanidhi, wherein as the credit was the PM Jandan program's key thing, to give the credit to the general masses, at least the OD limits and this, so they have the credit history. And that will solve perhaps what we are trying to say.
All right. Thank you, Mahesh. Gyanandrra?
See, इसमें again दो तीन angle है. अब होता क्या है कि if you do mutual funds, NPS, or acquiring customers, you need to be given certain freedoms of doing eKYC. Unless you are a regulated entity, you are not allowed to do. So those are the things. The question you are asking is, regulators should treat. It's not only the banker. What you were telling about Ajay or Ashutosh ji, you don't treat your BC as your partner. They are treating as partner. They are treating as extended arm. Like in labor law, for our talents, they are the principal employer. The same way, regulators should also treat us that we are extended arm for the banks, and they should allow us to use the services of account aggregator, use the services of KYC, and use the services of CB pool. If these are the things allowed to BCs, the bank's business will grow leap and bound, and the customers' centricity will increase, and the purpose of any organization is to generate employment and create entrepreneurship ecosystem, right? That is the BC model. That will also help us generate employment in rural India, especially for marginalized Bharat youth. That's important.
Thank you. So yeah, I think just to wrap up, I will, because in the morning session yesterday, RBI ED, Mr. Vasudevan, has mentioned that, we are looking for feedback, we are open to feedback. So if you have one ask, and I would restrict it to only one ask, both to BCs and the bankers, considering the challenges that we just discussed about LSP and BC and how we can go forward, what will be that one ask to the regulator?
I already mentioned about the account aggregator, so I'm allowed to add one more, right?
No, you can deliberate that.
Okay. I think what I feel is while, RBI and government has done a lot on digital India, that is, taking steps to improve the digital and the financial literacy of the overall, Indians, and largely to some extent the ones in the rural area, I think that's still a work in progress. So I mean, if there is something which the government can put in terms of additional impetus, either financial, investments, or coming up with some special incentives for these kind of, agents whom we work with, I think that will be a good thing.
Okay, all right.
One for the LSP also?
No, one.
Okay.
Ashutosh.
again, it will be too early for to go for a ask from regulator and enter the BC model. But one thing which I have personally felt about this BC model and all, when the regulator is issuing circulars and all, see, this model itself has got into different pockets. One, you have asset-based BC, there you have liability-based banking outlets, you have remittance-led BC. So if you are encapsulating everything into one circular and all, it's very, very difficult to fit in into the. So, of course, we are yet to see a kind of a mass scale or in this segment, typically with respect to MFI. But then, if that could be like segregated and directions are provided very specifically for particular BC models and all, it will be helpful for the banks.
Thank you. Mahesh.
I think we should ask for the one to implement what was the original agenda of Jan-Dhan.
Ajay.
Ashutosh +1. So whatever Ashutosh is asking, I'm supporting that.
Okay, so I think I also have a ask, even though I am the moderator. So the ask is as follows, that there should be, which is in line with what you just mentioned, there should be a master direction for BC, because currently there are about 25 guidelines for BCs, and even some of the bankers don't know which guideline to follow, and they admit that, we don't know which one to follow. So there should be a master direction for BC. And to fact that there should be, because BCs are not regulated entity, the point that you mentioned, the interaction with regulator is very limited. So there should be an exclusive BC SRO for BCs, and that is called BC SRO. And since now there is a draft framework for SRO, the ask would be to have a BC SRO and a master direction for BC. So I think it was very good discussion, and I think thank you for all the good points that you have mentioned. Classically, for any debate, there is no final answer. So here also there is no final answer. But yes, we are moving from 0, 0 to 1, 1 in the digital world. How we will move from 0, 0 to 1, 1 is something that our players will decide. And thank you very much, all of you, to be a patient listener. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for this insightful session. And one group picture, like everyone. Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, once again.